organizations. And as you know, we are experiencing this incredible pandemic called COVID-19, the coronavirus. And so we continue to bring information to you into the comfort of your home. We think it as taking 777 Bathurst Street, the People's Residence, the address of the People's Residence, and the contents of the People's Residence, and just turning it all inside out. So you can't come to us as a destination, but we certainly can come to you in the comfort of your homes. And for the next little while, we are going to have another incredible conversation. And today and this morning, Wake Up World, you're here to have a conversation with Dr. Edith Lorimer, one of our great physicians here in the city. I've known Dr. Lorimer for a number of years, and the first time that I saw her and I was engaged with her, it was her engagement with young people, not only giving scholarships to enable the quality of their lives, but also to her ability to be an incredible mentor. Every time that I have seen Dr. Lorimer in the society, she is always doing, giving, caring, whether it's formal or informal, and world, I cannot think of one time I have ever met her that she didn't have a little bit of information or a piece of advice that propelled or bookstore, the community center, or the community at large a little further. So I'm very proud this morning to have Dr. Edith Lorimer, physician, community builder. And do you know what? She also rides her bike, and I'm in awe of that, and navigates the traffic all up and down Toronto. But it also showed to her commitment to health, her commitment to wellness, and to well-being. And today we are going to talk about COVID, about foods, and that thing that we talk a lot about, the immune system. And also too, I know joining us this morning is someone too who is also too in the medical world, and that is Sister Linda Bacchus of the ACHA, African Canadian Heritage Association. Oh my God, I can't believe it's 8:30 and I'm so on point. But this is what happens at ADBCC, the People's Residence, bringing the information to you. So not to suck up any more oxygen, let me welcome Dr. Edith Lorimer. Good morning, Dr. Lorimer, and how are you on this fine morning?
And good morning, and I'm going to push for my bilingual tout le monde.
That's also another exciting thing too, your capacity to for a continuing education, and I'm supposed to say bonjour, bonjour, ça va, and you, ça va?
You say ça va?
Merci, merci. I hope I'm not going to be pressed to say anything profound in the second language, but enough respect to all those two who have a second language, because it just makes you full capacity. And Dr. Lorimer, if you can just lower your camera just a little bit more, just a little down, so we can see you a little bit, right, perfect. And I'm also pleased that you're wearing like the color green today, because we're talking about health. And Sister Soldier said that she went to visit a friend in her community, and when she got there, she saw trees, and she thought, oh my God, this woman has trees in her community. I don't have trees in my community. And she then made the statement, where there is green, there is growth. So I'm happy that you're wearing the color green today, and welcome. Yes. So tell us, Dr. Lorimer, how are you responding to COVID? And what are some of the things that you're passionate to tell people that they can do, and it's all in the simplicity world?
Now, this is a good chance for us to reset our barometers, reset everything in our life, because we're now realizing how good it is to have each other. Yes. And to be told, you can't go to the bookstore, oh, dreadful. But again, you're here at the bookstore now, so we can do anything because it's all in our minds and our mindset. And today we wanted to talk about what are we doing about building our immune system so that we can weather the storm, be it another month, as they say, or another 3 months. it won't really matter. It's how we look at it. And
Yes.
one of the lovely things is it allows us now to get back to the kitchen and to do those good, wholesome recipes of veggies and fruit, and in the decorative way and in the healthy way. And yesterday, as I looked over the October 16th, 2019 Harvard Health dictator. I guess they have a little magazine. They were saying that there's so many ways of supercharging our immune system by the very things we do and eat. But the most important thing is just taking the first minute or so to just do our mental health check. The little meditation, the little giving thanks, the gratitude that we're here
Yes.
and
Yes.
speaking.
Thanks for this morning. Yes. Good thanks that I'm speaking with you and Sister Linda. Good thanks for that. Yes.
And for me to give thanks to our next generation, the sojourners of the next generation who walked me through the Zoom. And do I have to turn the camera on? Those are the lovely things when we come across the generations.
Beautiful.
Because they're expecting us to pass on to them the little things that kept us to this age. And I often thought of, I think it's from the Bible, the 70. But 70 is not the limit anymore. We can go much better if we use all the things that we have here. And so some of the things that we want to do is just look at the simplest, our water. And many persons will say, I don't drink water, but the dictate isn't to drink water, but to drink water-based beverages. And then the caveat is low in simple sugars. Because so many of the places will offer us, the pop and the very sweet drinks that we don't really need. You can have the same things at a lower calorie, like your tea, your coffee, even your fruit juice, and it can be with a lot of ice, so it's nice and diluted. So the main thing to start with after our meditation is our liquids. And I noticed that someone was drinking their glass of water. Excellent. Bravo.
Yes. Right. And Dr. Lorimer, just lower your camera one more time too. Just lower it down a little bit so we can get better that way. Yeah. Yes. Keep going. Perfect.
Better?
Yes. This is good. Yes. It looks good. Perfect. So we're rolling. But water. I struggle with water. When I go to people's house, I drink lots of water. When that soda thing came up, I thought, oh my gosh, this is my key to be drinking more water. But it is so important. And you can look at people and you can just see the people who drink water. I often say to people sometimes, my God, you drink a lot of water. And they say, how do you know this? And I say, I can see it in your health. Yes.
So, and then the other thing that is beneficial is your pocket benefits from going on your fruit and vegetables. It's so much cheaper than eating the animals.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I was listening to,
Vegetarians Unite.
I was watching yesterday A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood with the old Mr. Rogers program.
Yes.
And he says he couldn't see himself eating anything that has a mother.
Oh, wow.
One doesn't have to be that strict, but it's just that
It's pretty profound. I feel guilty. Okay, I'm going to walk to Pickering in atonement.
I think, but so many persons think that, the fruit and vegetables are more expensive, and they're really not, because they last, for a whole week if you buy a substantial amount for the week, and then you don't have to go out again. And they're right there and nice and fresh. And then you can use our animal meats. So you don't have to go 100% because moderation is the best in everything. So they can be used to just tone up the bulk of our fruit and vegetables. And
Right.
one thing I thank you for letting me go to my research was that I often said citrus, but they said actually, yes, but guess what? The red bell peppers knock it out of the wall. They said by ounce for ounce, the red bell pepper, the nice sweet pepper
Yes. Yes.
that has a lot of vitamin C.
And I notice increasingly too, parents seem to be able, I think it's the color thing, to give their children that for snack. I'm seeing, more children just crunching on peppers now as a snack. So this is a good thing, bell peppers, okay.
And then our friendly thing that the Bushes introduced us to, broccoli.
Broccoli.
Broccoli,
Okay.
the powerful. I know, it doesn't have to be fresh. It would be ideal if you'd have it fresh, but it doesn't have to be fresh. Just pouring boiling water out of it will bring up the vitamins and the antioxidants.
Okay.
So you pour that over, and then you can use what we use in the Caribbean and in our African culture, our seasonings. The onion flakes, garlic flakes, paprika, whatever you like to season it, and that will transform it into a lovely meal all by itself.
Well, they say too that meals are also presentation is tantalizing to the eyes. So I'm here now picturing the red bell peppers, and then I've got the broccoli green. I almost feel I need a little sunshine now to balance it on the plate to get the liberation colors happening.
Well, then you can just add to that the cottage cheese in the middle, and prunes on the side, and your dried nectarines and so you can do a lot of color with the vegetables and the fruit, and then your cucumber slices. That will just keep it off.
There's someone right now in the world who has just heard this, and they have just rushed to their kitchen, and they are making this thing, and they're doing it with a whole lot of love. And I hope that when they do it, they're saying, I heard this from Dr. Edith Lorimer.
And from people's residents at a different book list.
Exactly, yes. Yeah. Yes.
Are there any questions that anyone wanted?
Yeah. Sister Lindis, do you have a question? Something you want to jump in and make a comment or statement?
I'm just enjoying hearing Dr. Lorimer, because I remember I grew up, I studied in England, and while I was studying, I'm a physiotherapist, and while I was studying in England, I decided I didn't want to eat meat anymore, because we had to do dissections on human bodies, and it was not pleasant. And the sections in the bodies look just like the sections that you buy in the butcher. And from a dissection class, we went straight down to the cafeteria for lunch, and what was given up was ribs, and the ribs looked just like the dissection piece that we just did. That started me on a vegetarian trend. But back in the day, this was in 86, 85, 86. I became vegetarian, and it was very expensive. It was actually more expensive than buying meat. Maybe this was England, not Canada. And I did it because I just didn't want to eat meat, but I said I couldn't keep this up because it was so expensive. But now, half of my family most of us don't eat meat. We eat chicken on the odd occasion. We don't eat pork or beef. And my daughter's actually completely vegan. Well, she's now beginning to introduce fish. But it's actually a much healthier diet. We just chose to do it because of our feelings about not eating meat. And there's a couple of things that Dr. Lorimer said that actually resonates with me. And we've been doing this for years. This is not new because of COVID. But I'm glad to see that we're on the right track. So a couple of points I want to bring up. One is, we don't eat meat because the West Indian meal was top heavy with meat as the main thing, and then everything else went around the meat. And I've never been a heavy meat eater, so it really didn't bother me. I don't like pork, I don't like beef. I don't need to eat that stuff to keep me going. I do like chicken, but I'm actually seriously weaning off chicken more so because of all the stuff that's going on with, you know, the sustainable meat and farming this and, you know, all the kind of stuff that's going on around meat and the health, even fish and even vegetables. So we're keeping on top of all of that. But the main thing that I like to say to people about eating healthily, and I totally agree with Dr. Lorimer, meat doesn't have to be the main piece. It should be a part of the meal and not the main part of the meal. We in this house, we love color. So the thing about the green broccoli, the red pepper, you're right. Me eating, enjoying, and I love food. Anybody who knows me knows I love food. So eating is a visual feast before it gets into your mouth and into your stomach. So I always say, to make it appealing, food has got to look attractive. The colors make it look attractive without even trying. And what we do in this house is that we normally have like at least 3 or 4 colors of food on the plate. And then we know we're having a sort of reasonable balance of correct nutrients and meat and foods. So that's one thing that I like to say to people, make it look attractive, but put a lot of colors. The more colors, the more healthy the meal is going to be. If it's brown and white, it probably isn't very good for you. Not to say that every so often we don't have brown and white meals. Like we do have fish and chips, we do have, but it's a treat, not a norm. One of the things that COVID has made us more, the seasoning, Dr. Lorimer. So a lot of West Indian folks season with onion, garlic, ginger, turmeric, all of those. Oh, look at that. You have everything prepared, Ita. Very good.
Right? Because I know Dr. Lorimer is probably going to speak to that in just a little bit. But so I came with my props. Yes.
So all of those things are very good to see. And we seem to turn our back on the traditional ways of cooking from Africa, from the Caribbean. And this has really tuned our family into, my God, we've been doing this forever. And now it's a big deal because it's COVID, but we've been doing it forever. So
and what I like too that you brought in coming out of the ACHA, that it is colorful. So for educators too who are watching out there and families too who are watching out there, this is a world of learning and information about colors and the composition of food and how to make things even more enticing. We do have a question coming in, and the question is, for people who don't eat meat, what are some ways to maintain protein in their diet?
Nuts, go nuts.
Go nuts. Okay.
Nuts are a good source of protein. And then there are other sources. Each time you have a vegetable, there is a little bit of protein. Maybe not a lot, but there's quinoa, which the Peruvians, the Inca Empire, they gave us the 3 sisters, and part of the 3 sisters was quinoa. Quinoa and the pulses. So name any pea, you'll get some protein. So it's almost like the peas have taken over the protein parts that for anyone who doesn't want to depend on animal meat. So your chickpeas, your lentils, which is very high, and there's a ranking, but just do it to taste. The lentils, chickpeas, gungo peas, which originally was Congo peas, and doing the transatlantic travel, it became from Congo to gungo peas. Mm-hmm. Are you aware of that? So the Congo peas and any of the broad beans, and they then can be flavored with your garlic and this other spices that you like, the garlic, onions, tomatoes, as Ita showed.
Shout out to the folks at the Black Creek Farm. They have planted lots and lots of garlic, and they're getting excited that the harvest is coming soon. But I am told that this is a magical, we should carry it around in our purses.
Or on your earrings.
Or our earrings, garlic earrings.
Ita,
yes?
So Ita, it's interesting because for years, there's I don't know if people know, but there's a garlic festival that happens in Toronto every year in October, I believe it was. And for years, I've been trying to get to this garlic festival. We actually got to it last year. In fact, there's a huge garlic following around Canada. Many cities have their own garlic festival, but I didn't know there was one in Toronto. So we found out and we went to it last year. They had things like garlic ice cream, which was absolutely delicious. Garlic, you name it, everything was made with garlic. And then there was selling garlic and garlic bulbs to grow. So because we use a lot of garlic, we decided to go and buy some garlic bulbs to grow. This must be the trend, because a lot of people I hear now are growing garlic. And so we have a backyard that we're going to have like a farm this year. And garlic is one of the things that we experimented with last year, and looking forward to the reaping of the harvest whenever it comes due. But it's interesting because it's a big deal, and that's one of the biggest things you can have for your immune system to up the ante. And going back to basics is really important. This is what COVID has taught us.
And then there's a familiar meal in the Caribbean, and I think in Africa too, in West Africa as well as East Africa, with the spinach. We call them callaloo in Jamaica, but here in Canada, it grows easily in your garden. Just sprinkling it on, and you'll have your callaloo. And the more you harvest it, is the more it gives. So that's the green from the spinach, they would call it, or callaloo. But the spinach is more difficult in that it's a smaller plant, but the callaloo just grows like a bush. So
what is exciting about this is I'm reading all the response from people. Some people who are tuning into us are eating yogurt and honey and walnuts. So you spoke about nuts. Some of the questions are they specific times of day you should eat? Better suggestions. I know I grew up with sayings like my grandmother would say, gold in the morning, silver at noon, and lead at night. What and my grandmother refused to have fruits in the evening. So talk to us about that, Dr. Lorimer.
I think things are culturally determined, but the one thing is sure, that you should start with water, because what is the first thing anyone does when they wake up in the morning? Shed water. Therefore, what's the first thing you should replace is the water. And you'll find that having 2 or 3 glasses of tea, water, soup, whatever, the simple, yes, the 2 or 3 glasses of water will mean that when you determine what you have for the next meal, which we call the breakfast, it will be much simpler, because you've already replenished what you most need, which is your 80% water. And many times one has difficulty discerning hunger from thirst. And if you find you're feeling hungry in the morning, 10 chances to 1 is that you're thirsty. You're 80%. Okay. So drink the water first, and then determine what you have for your breakfast. And just as you're mentioning the seasonings, the garlic and the onions and the other things, in the Caribbean, where it's on again, off again with the water supply, our spices many times have to be had dried. So to have onion chips or garlic flakes, if you have that on hand, you'll find that sometimes much easier to use in the earlier part of the day, which is like with breakfast, tossing on some garlic, as opposed to chopping it up and putting it in.
Okay.
So the dried vegetables also give you nutrients. So we've mentioned our water, and then yes, our protein sources, which would be the pulses, yes, as well as the nuts, and then our friendly yogurt. Yogurt is so easy to make, especially when you have a microwave.
Making it, people, not going to the supermarket, making it. Hey, I think that they're waving at us right now. Yes. How do we make that? Simple.
You simply just start with, then you have to go to either your health food store or the supermarket and get the cultured, the culture of yogurt.
Okay.
And so just one small container and just 1 tablespoon of that will populate 5 cups of skim milk powder reactivated
Mm-hmm.
and sterilized by boiling in the microwave. And then once it's cooled down, you add your culture and distribute and set it in the oven. If you're not, if you want to be more specific, you can actually have a yogurt culture maker, but putting it in the oven and just closing the oven, and it's covered up with a towel. And in 8 hours, you'll have your new batch of yogurt.
Yeah.
And the only thing is, don't eat the last one, because the last one restarts as a culture for the next batch. So that will give us the calcium that we're needing for our teeth, our bones, and calcium also helps us to the muscles to relax. So if one has a low calcium diet, you'll find that you often get cramps in the thighs, in the calves, and even in your fingers. So the calcium there would be helping your heart muscles as well as the other muscles as they contract and then relax.
A couple of things. There's a couple of people, some other questions, and I wanted to say good morning to all you people joining in our conversation with Dr. Edith Lorimer. I know you could have done a million things this morning, but you chose to be with us here at ADBCC, the People's Residence. So we thank you for that. And some people have one asked a question, what about warm water versus cold water? And also too, I'm gonna put up the ginger, because ginger right now is feeling not loved, you know, like garlic is just taking all the love away. So I just want us also to talk about a little bit about ginger and how that can be incorporated too in our diet.
Ginger too has a lot, I was looking at the ginger has a lot of the antioxidant and the vitamin potential that we need for the day. And ginger is a lovely tea. Ginger tea plus ginger in anything. It brings out the flavor in the meats. It brings out the flavor in your sauces. And of course there's gingerbread and ginger cookies, ginger anything. And ginger is an anti-nauseant as well.
Okay. Anti-nauseant. All the time that we are speaking to my mother of her 87th year in her indigenous knowledge, but one of her big things too is about lime. She keeps asking me, are people using lots of lime? And it seems like in the Caribbean, you know, something bad happens, got to get lime.
And that's when I started out with our red bell peppers, it was to toss the citrus off their pavilion, because citrus has one of the highest components is the vitamin C for our diet. And vitamin C helps us to build our immune system, fight infections. So your lime, show off from the Caribbean. We don't get limes, we have to stick with the oranges here. But the whole family of grapefruit, oranges, limes, lemons, that's the citrus family is filled with vitamin C. So if you're having, feel a cold coming on, having a nice, in the Caribbean, glass of lemonade, but here we'd have it as a lemon drink, as a warm drink. And again, the temperatures, the good thing about the warm liquids is your body is really warm. And if you're feeling hot, what someone would think of is, oh, give me an ice cold drink. While it feels cold, actually a hot drink cools you down much better than a cold drink, because once you drink the hot drink, then the core of your body says, I'm hot. So the pores open and you perspire, which cools you down. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you drink a cold, nice ice cold drink, it feels good as it's going in, but then it tells the core of your body that, oh, you're frozen. So it shuts off the pores so you don't perspire. So both are good, but they're sort of working in the opposite ways, in that the cold is instant gratification and the warmth is long term, a little later.
You might have just answered the question to why there is tea time in cricket. Maybe it's not something to do with British. Maybe it was science of cooling the body down, you know, or something.
Dr. Lorimer, Ita, can I just chip in here?
Go ahead.
Whenever, two things about liquid. I'm glad Dr. Lorimer mentioned that the liquid that you drink does not have to be water, because some people cannot drink the amount of water, just pure water, which includes me. And I do a lot of drinking, but I drink a lot of tea during the day. Like I would have about 6, 7, 8 cups of tea.
You're going to say vodka.
And so I'm glad, well, I also have wine and a little bit of coffee. I'm glad you've now made it official that it doesn't have to be cool, clear water. So I'm very glad to hear that. And then the other thing is, as British accent, you can hear that. So growing up in England again, tea is very popular. So when I go to the Caribbean, and all of my aunties and uncles and family members say, you want a nice cold drink because it's a hot day? And I say, no, thank you. I'll have a cup of tea. And honestly, they think I am nuts. But Dr. Lorimer, thank you very much for clarifying that I am not crazy and that tea is a better drink to have in the cold. So now I will do that with a lot more confidence.
Coffee shares just fell on the stock market. Bring back my coffee shares.
You see, the nice thing about our African heritage and our Caribbean heritage is we welcome, you know, out of many one people, that sort of thing. So it's out of many one drink. The big thing is that it's a water-based drink. So tea, the only thing with coffee is very expensive. Compared with one tea bag, and you can get 4 cups of tea.
Yes. Teachers, hear the math, teachers, hear the math. Okay, great.
The financial aspect, that coffee is a little more expensive, but coffee is good too. But it's hard to water down coffee and still have it tasting as good as you could do for tea. And remember that in Jamaica, everything that's warm is tea.
Tea,
so
that's right.
Tea.
Yes.
So we have
cocoa
tea. We have cocoa tea, mint tea, lemon tea, anything that has the boiling water poured on it to extract the flavor is a tea.
It's tea. A couple of other questions come in. And again, for all those who have tuned in, this is really exciting. Other question, what natural products are good for lowering blood pressure? And this is particularly, this is a great question, because it seems too that during COVID, as we are hearing of people transitioning and dying, a lot of them are people of African descent. And, you know, we are prone to diabetes and high blood pressure. And let me just rephrase that. That's one of the things that we are told that impacts a lot. I don't really want to put that on my people like this, but Dr. Lorimer, if you can speak to that. And then the second question is to give us a little bit of talk about the differences between lemon, lime, and key lime. So 2 things in order, but the really first important one is, how do we deal with high blood pressure? Yeah.
For the blood pressure, many times it is associated with our weight and our intake of salt, sodium, as well as the weight going up with the simple sugars. So that it is really the end product. Sometimes it might be genetically associated, but many times it can be controlled by the very things we do, and which is our drinking the water then decreases our need for filling up on the carbohydrates, and then drinking the low sugared drinks. And the things like having your fruit and vegetables again will replace the salty foods that we would tend to eat. And to just be aware that our generation and this is not just our African peoples, it's everyone has been weaned onto the oil and the salt. Oil, salt, and sugar, the three vices. And so if we just lower those, but if you're still out of the normal range for the blood pressure, then do not forget to take your blood pressure medications. So the exercise again will reduce the blood pressure, and cholesterol in your high cholesterol will again ultimately cause the arteries to be stiffened, arteriosclerosis, that will again cause the blood pressure. So it's a totality of things that we can do for lowering the blood pressure, which starts with our drinking the liquids, this exercise, reducing the salt, reducing the obesity, and that will all play together to bring us to the lowest level of blood pressure medication, but not to deny yourself the safety of the blood pressure medication if it's needed after you've done all those corrections.
My producer told me just now that I was frowning. It wasn't that I was frowning. I was just thinking of all those chips with salt that I consume. And I think, oh, I'm so good in the sugar category, but oh my God, I'm so bad in the sugar and the salt category. But yes, it is something that we seem to struggle with. And I heard a lot of people talk too about the properties of sorrel, and sorrel using that drink that we use at Christmas time. But a lot of people seem to think, no, it is not a Christmas drink. It is a 365-day. What's your take on sorrel coming out of West Africa?
Sorrel is one of the best drinks that we can have. But again, it was just that in the Caribbean, where we have water control, you could almost say, that so that the harvesting of sorrel was only at Christmas time.
Okay.
And when I went to Timbuktu in Mali, the name has just slipped me. I said I wanted to taste the local drink, and this was in about May, and so they brought this red drink, and they served it cold. And I said, "But this is sorrel." They said, "That's their drink. That's all through the year." And I think in the Caribbean we've sort of started to make like a concentrate, and then you can dilute it, hot or cold, and there are even sorrel tea bags that, again, sorrel is an antioxidant, so again it boosts the immune system. So
Facebook Live. Yay, we love you, Facebook Live. People want to know any herbs that can be used to lower blood pressure. Any herbs?
I'm not aware. I'd have to visit my herbalist friends for that. Because there's a plethora of things like ginkgo biloba, all sorts of things that I'm not really versed in.
I've noticed too, though, Dr. Lorimer, and this probably comes, my impression, it comes out of young people's fascination with food and this whole food explosion that has taken off. But I've noticed on their lips, they're saying the word bay leaf. Like I'm thinking, oh my God, they didn't grow up with bay leaf, and that sort of skipped a generation. But I see in my daughter's generation, and people are 20, they're talking about bay leaf, like, and I hope it is beyond the rest of people.
Bay leaf was always used as a spice. Make any porridge would have to have a bay leaf in it in the Caribbean. But somehow we've grown out of that. But I'm glad to know that it's coming back in.
Yes.
But things like thyme, cumin, cumin is the yellow ingredient in our what's the because I don't eat it very much, but many of our yellow spices.
Right.
You know, the curry gets
Yes.
its main thing from the cumin, which
And
again,
also pepper sauce is in there.
Yes.
Pepper sauce, I remember, yes.
The hot peppers, yes.
Yes.
But again, that's an acquired taste. And So some people immediately say spicy, if it's spicy, and they're confusing tastiness, which would come from nutmeg, all these things like nutmeg, garlic, the onion. They're thinking of it as being hot spicy. So that's this, the capsaicin does lower the blood pressure, but I don't think people can go on the hot pepper teas as much. But that's something that we should explore in the natural food stores. And
one of the interesting contradictions that we have, and you keep taking us back to that, or when even Linda's is speaking and in her reference points about the Caribbean, that you're taking us back to the things that are local, that are indigenous, that the things that we are surrounded with, or the things that we see in the Caribbean grocery stores. And then it takes someone like some doctor guy to come on TV and say, you know, coconut water is the thing, aloe vera is the thing, and everybody jumps on the bandwagon and these things become so sexy and in vogue. But here at every turn, you take us back to things that we know, things that we are familiar with, to remind us that, you know, they're good for us, that indigenous knowledge.
And sometimes we mustn't forget that other people's reality is why they push their stuff. For instance, the olive oil was promoted a long time and downplaying the coconut oil. And coconut oil is one of the best things for your skin, for your hair, and for the taste of the food.
My mother is clapping for you right now.
So after you drink your coconut water, then you get your coconut oil. So those are, and of course, again, it's moderation, because any of the fats, because of the weight tendency, if you had too many of them, but just brushing the pan with the oil and then cooking in it is a good way of having the taste and the health part. Because many foods, you don't have to have a huge volume of it. Just a small amount would be okay.
Yes.
Alarm.
Yeah. And this is what I like in ADBC C777 TV. You know, life never gets in the way. Life is just part of our programming and part of our, you know, I like this. I really, really am enjoying this. And another question from Facebook land, and thank you again, all those who got out of your bed this morning to share in this conversation. Remember, drink water, it's the first thing. But no, what was the first thing? Oh, say give thanks and praise. Oh, this is so good. Another question is, what did you see, Dr. Lorimer, and I'll throw this out to you too, Linda's, growing up, some of the elders in your community use as healing agents? And that is from Facebook land.
Oh, many of the things would be like the mint tea, and something that we don't have here, which is called bissi. It's a nut that was grated and stored in, it's called bissi in Jamaica, but it's a nut.
Yeah. Anyone in Facebook land can give us a translation in Trinidad language, Bajan language, what bissi is?
And it was, the bissi was grated and left in rum, and especially menstrual pains, a tablespoon of bissi, and you went off to sleep, and that was it. So we had a lot of analgesia from the things that were local. And some of the things here would be the equivalent of having your ginger honey tea when you're having a headache, and then of course it promotes, the good thing is sleep. Because so much of our time is spent being busy that we forget to sleep. And it's okay. It's not just a senior thing. It's for all generations. An afternoon nap, if you need it, is a power nap.
Yes. I to listen to that advice. Afternoon nap power. Yes.
Even just half an hour gives you enough to go down into REM sleep, repair a little, and come back.
Yeah. My people, if you want to seize the power, you got to take a nap.
So Dr. Lorimer, thank you for mentioning, I wanted to talk about sleep because sleep is so underrated in this society. I recently went to a conference and they talked about sleep having 4 parts to it. And the first part is where you get a lot, the second phase of the sleep pattern, before you get into REM, the deep part, is one of the most important parts of sleep, where you actually dream before you get into the REM sleep. And if you don't go through the 4 phases,
oh my word,
you don't actually get restorative sleep. So I've always said sleep is very important and not to be underestimated, but now I've been given the tools to explain why it's so important. And isn't that a really valid part of building your immune system as well? Because so many things happen at night when you're sleeping in your immune system that if you do not get the appropriate amount of sleep, and for some it may be 5 hours, for me it's 7 hours minimally. You know what you need, we don't always get it. We get what we get, but we know we could do with more. Not to say you get 10 hours, because 10 hours might be way too much, but to get the appropriate amount of sleep is very important for your immune system in building that immune system on a daily basis.
Wow.
So I'm glad that you brought that up, because that was a very important part for me about keeping the immune system healthy.
And prior to the sleep is decreasing the stress. And since we're on this sleep, just to reassure people that many studies have shown that you don't have to have 8 hours straight. Apparently, there was a time when it was more appropriate to have a 4-hour packet and then another 4-hour packet, so that if one finds that you're waking at 3 in the morning, don't worry about that. Try to think of good things, and when you can't think of good things, maybe a cup of warm milk or a cup of warm lemon tea, but nothing with caffeine in it, and then you find that you'll go right back to sleep. And then again, everything helps. It helps. All the commodities help each other, because the exercise, if you're exercising, which we aren't able to do right now as much, but if you're exercising, it will promote better sleep. And if you're drinking, it's just to try to stop drinking 2 hours before you go to sleep, because that will tend to disturb the rest. But it's okay to have that one nightcap, 1 cup before you get into bed, because that will tend to stay there for a good 4 hours.
Can I just jump in about the exercising? As a physiotherapist, one of the big things we are doing even more virtually, because now we've had to go to a virtual platform for certain of our clients and patients, and we are promoting exercise. And exercise, I think people seem to feel exercise belongs in a gym. There is so many things you can do in your home that you can use from your home. And just walking is an exercise. And in this day and age of COVID, taking a walk in the fresh air, just being exposed to the sun, being exposed to nature, that in itself relieves stress, and it's actually a form of exercise. There's so many things that can be done. I was actually sent an email from somebody in Trinidad, actually, who had from England, beg your pardon, who had a very basic exercise program for seniors in this time of COVID. Simple, practice getting up and down off a chair without using your hands. Stepping up 20 times every hour. Walking up and down the stairs is an exercise. So there you go. Aita's already doing it. So there's a very simple program, and it's not just for seniors. If some of us are just being, me included, couch potatoes over this COVID time, you're doing a lot of sitting. Muscles get tight and short. So you actually have to move more, because we are doing less. We're not going to work. We're not walking up and down the mall. It's even more important at this time to do something, anything, to get some movement. Otherwise, we will get stiff and all the other stuff that comes along with it. So if we can use this time of COVID to eat more healthily, get our rest, move a little bit more intentionally, that's my plan for coming out the other end of COVID. And I'm trying to spread that word to everybody who will listen to me. Before Dr. Lorimer responds and Aita, I just have two things that I remembered we did as children in Trinidad. Every day we would get cod liver oil, not tablets, not tablets. We would actually have to drink the cod liver oil from a spoon. Disgusting. But I have a feeling that's what got most of us in the Caribbean strong and with good.
My mother is clapping you now. Nice to start your own group.
And the other thing that these were traumatic as children to us, but I now understand the benefits of it. We would then be lined up. We lived in a sort of a compound setting, so all the cousins, there would be like 6 of us, and brothers and sisters would be lined up to have our cod liver oil. And then you would get, at the end of the summer, because you've spent, you spent all summer eating fruit with the worms and the this and the that. I'm sure people remember these days, you would get a purge at the end of August before you started school. And you would, it was coming every summer, end of August, you got your purge lined up. And then back in the day, we had one toilet for the compound. Right? You get your purge, then it was a rush to the toilet, get out my way, I need to use the toilet. And then it would be one after the other, boom, 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 like literally boom, boom, boom. And you would get cleaned out. I remember my cousin having a worm coming out of his behind on the toilet, dangling. And he called
this TV, you get it. Only on this TV, we drop it like it's hot.
He called all the cousins in to see this worm. It was a good long worm. And back at your children, so you don't care. You go, oh my God, that's a really horrible. But we pulled the worm out of his behind, and that proves to us that the purge was a good thing. Right? We got the results straight away. So who online remembers those days growing up in the Caribbean having the purge?
For some reason now you're blowing up my phone. You're blowing up my phone. I mean, there are all kinds of people like screaming stuff now. We have to have, you know what, Dr. Lorimer, we got to make this more regular, because everybody wants to wade on and come on with this stuff. My mother even here is like fighting up now with my attention. Like, remember, it's all classes. Everybody in Barbados used to line up everybody. Oh my gosh. But this is the power of information. This is the power of when we have conversations to exchange information with each other. And this is the whole point of us having the webinar series, that we can talk about the things that we know, the things that we experience, the things that our people hold dear, and how they can enrich our lives and get us through these times. But I'm feeling that your testimony, Linda. And another question is, how does one deal with sciatic? Oh my gosh, nerve pain. We're not really getting into. We're now into ER, and I can just see it now. We're gonna next week be doing surgeries remote. But how does one deal with sciatic pain?
Sister Liz was very good in bringing up one thing that luckily we don't have as much now, even in the Caribbean, because very rarely do kids go barefooted.
That's right.
The worm that you got was the tapeworm that was planted in the soil and going nice and free. With them coming, when they entered at the vulnerable parts of the skin, which would be the lining between the toes, they were called chigger, because it was very itchy.
That's right.
They invaded and got into the body. So I don't think we need our purging so much now.
I think I got shots of rum for chiggers, and old people used to always say, have another little shot of rum to take out the worms. Oh my God.
But isn't the modern day purging there's a technique that people do to clean out their bowels? Isn't that like the modern day purge? I forget what the term is.
I don't think it would be said to be necessary ever to purge, because the body naturally purges itself by going from top to bottom. So if anyone is feeling that they're needing, and you don't need a the colonoscopy type of the colon cleansing and all these, things that are suggested. If you really feel that, oh, I need a purge, then just go for 3 or 4, even 4 days on clear fluids, meaning the teas, the ginger tea, the lemon tea, and even a jello first, a bit of salt.
Okay.
And just with clear fluids for 3-4 days, guess what? Nothing's going to come out. If you don't put money in the bank, you won't get money out.
So for those who watching, we are we're on at ADBCC, the People's Residence, come in live to you, to the comfort of your home, turn in 77. And this morning, we've had an incredible conversation with Dr. Edith Lorimer and Linda Spackus, and physiotherapists, and we've just been on an incredible roll. Dr. Lorimer popped off somewhere in cyberspace, and we have a hold-in moment, but also too, we see how important it is for us to continue this conversation in this forum, because people now are asking all kinds of general health questions. Today, our focus was on COVID and how we build our immune systems to respond to them. We have talked about the properties of ginger. I think I'm going to wear ginger earrings, or maybe I'll just make it a wonderful piece of decorative jewelry. We've talked about garlic. We've talked about exercise, and I know Linda's is going to come on to maybe sometime in the week or next week, and we're going to have a wonderful stretch exercise session. We've talked about vitamin C and lime and lemons and what differentiates them. Color, one is green, one is orange, one is yellow. I know I just do as really an idiot. And of course, they always say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And it also too, it attracts friends. There you go. You give it, they think it is love because it is red. And of course, my mother drummed into my head all the time. Of course, that's why I never do it. And that is I'm supposed to have banana for calcium. I think bananas are like moons. They're, are light. But in this incredible time that we are in, we have had the opportunity this morning to laugh, to love, to remember. And it is moments like these that we appreciate as we try to navigate ourselves through the COVID, or we try to navigate getting Dr. Lorimer back into the conversation, and to those of you in Facebook land, for those of you who have tuned in this morning, enough respect. I hope that you woke up to Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Wake up, everybody. Wow. There we go. So we can change the world, just you and me. I don't know what you're going to do with your day, but I know that whatever it is, you're going to have a little red on that plate, a little green on that plate. You may even have a little yellow. Liberation colors. For educators, we've heard so much math today being discussed and being shared. We've heard the properties of things. Who are Canada's trading partners? Where do we get our spices, our nutmegs, our ginger? These are all things too implicit in these conversations that educators, if you're watching out there and you know the game, hey, you can incorporate them in your classroom. And Lindis, I'm going to go to you for a little bit until I get instruction from the producer. Anything that you want to update us to about ACH8, or tell us what is happening, or where we can tune in for new or hot events taking place with ACHA. And I guess Lindis is muted.
Yeah,
Great.
Is that better?
I was just shouting, out to you too, as we are trying to retrieve Dr. Lorimer. Anything new that you want to talk about ACHA, or any announcements that you want to share at this time?
Just very briefly, I was just thinking back to ACHA's annual cook-off event that we have every year, where we choose one African, Caribbean fruit or vegetable, and everybody makes a dish from that item. And some of the items that we talked about today, sorrel, ginger, we did avocado, tamarind,
Oh,
We
Right.
did pineapple. We did a lot of menus and dishes from those items, and also learned the benefits of those items. Teff.
Wonderful.
We didn't
Wonderful.
realize. I don't think I'm on video. Yeah, so we learned a lot of the benefits of those food items that we never knew how good they were. So I'm glad Dr. Lorimer brought up some of those items, including sorrel and ginger. Dr. Lorimer's back. So
Hey,
just
Dr. Lorimer. Dr. Lorimer, what we said in your absence is we need to do this again and again, because as Linda's pointed out, we're now even going into general medical questions. We started off this morning with the focus of immunity, but it also shows how rich the conversation is, things that people need information. So definitely, Dr. Lorimer, we're having you back again and again so we can talk about specific things. And Linda's, we see how organic this has been.
So very, very briefly before I leave, I have to just publicize the fact that ACHA is now going virtually, and we're going to be launching in the first week of May. There will be an email going out to indicate what we're planning to do. And essentially, we're taking the format of the school, Toronto School District Board, where we're going to have a platform that is going to be interactive, and it's going to have the categories of children, teens, adults, and seniors. And also there will be a music component and a COVID-19 information component. We welcome people sending us content. We do have content already to start with, but as I said, it's going to be an interactive platform online, and it's going to be through email, Facebook, Instagram, and we're going to carry on with the themes of Kwanzaa. So all of this year is Nia for ACHA. What we have realized is that Nia, which means purpose, we have got to reinvent our purpose because of COVID, because we cannot meet in person. So the reinvention is the virtual platform, and we're going to start from the very first principle of Kwanzaa, which is Umoja, unity, and each month for the next 7 months, we will be focusing on one theme, and each theme will have a Saturday platform. Every Saturday there will be a platform with different activities for the different age groups, information sessions, interactive stuff as well. And Veronica Sullivan, who is the education chair for the children, I'm the one for the teens, and the whole group is going to be invited to contribute for the adult and senior portion. We have Kevin Hood and Mark Chambers, who are the ongoing ACHA DJs for any event that we have. They will be having the music component with iHeart Music, which is their music group, just to keep that momentum up, because we know as African people
who are now joining us, we're talking about the African Canadian Heritage Association. So stay tuned for more. They're going online, lots to do, lots to engage. I'm looking at the time now, it's 9:50. And Dr. Lorimer, I'm going to go to you with some closing remarks on this first segment. I'm going to boldly declare it to be this first segment of something that you want to leave with our listeners and our viewers for today.
So just to summarize the things that we want to get us through on the safety on the other side of our lockdown, is just to remember our spiritual side, the mental side, the physical side with our nutrition and our neighbors, and then just reading as much as we can about using this time to connect with our through the generations, reading to the children and having them read to us and talking to them to let them know what we experienced and how this pandemic resembles the one of 1918, because they considered this I think the Spanish flu, but it was the same thing that it wasn't recognized early enough that we should be prepared to deal with the isolation, what we now call social distancing. But it's always a good thing within the home, whenever anyone is ill, to allow that person their space and prevent the transmission to anyone else in the home, if we can do that. So the eating properly, using our fruits and vegetables more, and drinking our water, and all our spices that make the fruit and vegetables even nicer to enjoy. So thanks, Ida and Miguel and Sojourn, for putting this together at the People's Residence, a different book list. This was wonderful.
Thank you again, Dr. Lorimer. Thank you all, or the folks who are watching. Stay tuned for more. And yes, I can still see the questions going, but I promise you we will have another episode with Dr. Edith Lorimer. We're going to bring Linda's back so she can also take us into the physiotherapy land and make some noise. And I hope all of you who have been sitting on your bums, we can stand up right now. Don't hold on to your chair. Do not hold on to the chair. Stand up. Yep, that's an exercise. Even my mother is doing it. Yay. And let's give ourselves a big clap because we woke up this morning and we decided to make the world a better place. Love, love,